We need to find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here. 444 Spearway. Oh, turn.
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time. The James and Kellee Show.
Great, let's start the show. Hello, Kellee.
Hi, James.
Happy 6th of March, 2023.
Why, thank you. Happy March 6th to you, too.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
I know that because I have a calendar in front of me. That's the only reason.
Aren't they the best? The old-fashioned calendars. I love them.
And is it me or does things seem to be speeding up even faster and faster?
Oh, come on. Things are so speeding up.
It's speeding up.
Well, yeah, forgetting the days, you know?
Oh, yeah, it used to be. Yeah, I think once we had COVID, they forgot days. And now it's like, what month is it? What year? And now that we have snow and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so where you are, you've got snow coming. And where Renee is, our producer, has 5 feet of snow. And where I am in Wisconsin, today was 54. Now, we have no snow.
Crazy.
Crazy.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, hi, everybody. Hi, Isla. Hi, Isla. Hi, Laurel.
No, my lights went crazy.
Oh, hi, Ellen. Got some good questions here, too. Hi, Karen. Hi, Joanne.
Lisa.
Lisa. Oh, Lisa Zapp from Brisbane. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Elizabeth and Sue. Well, did you have a good weekend, James?
I had a strange weekend, Kellee. It's so strange with my lights just went up. I'll make my lights down. It's very, very weird.
Oh, well, I can explain that astrologically. There's a lot of stuff that's going to go on.
I had a very strange weekend. I kind of forgot I had a workshop, and I was so ingrained, so involved with the dog park. So
you were really present in the moment.
I was present with my pastries for the people at the dog park. That's what I was doing, and all these new dogs, and it was fun. And I forgot that I was with Gordon Smith in a workshop in modern mediumship, which was a good workshop, and I did it from my car, and then I did it at home. But first hour, he spoke about his work from the UK, and of course, the second half, I spoke from the USA. Very, very different, but it was interesting, and it was a great weekend. And I met a lot of people in the doggy area, and I love psychology. I love people. I find people that are very open and fun and loving, or they're screwed up, messed up.
Yeah, they kind of come in those.
It's like, wow. And like today, on picking up my dog, some girl, there was a stop sign. She just went right through, looked, and just went like, wait a minute. Hello. It's a stop sign, not a suggestion.
It's not a suggestion. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's amazing. You take your life in your hands out on the roads these days. It's just
true that.
How was your weekend?
Well, I got to talk to you on Saturday. So that was a lot of fun because we put together our excursions
for Alaska, and we are going some great excursions, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I hope the ghost one comes about, because if not,
I think it is available. So, and we'll be talking about that, throughout today, and then we'll talk about that as we, in the next few weeks.
Kellee, and I didn't want to make a big deal of it here, but I was working on the cruise today on the workshop, and it was really, really interesting because I have a song that I went through 200 songs there's going to be a lot of music in it. There's going to be a lot of mantras. There's going to be a lot of phrases. There's going to be a lot of the workshop has to do with vibration and frequency, because as you leave the body, you're going to work with all this in alignment with the other realms. And Spirit was with me all day, and they said one of the things they wanted to do. And I said, this is one of your songs. I didn't even know I had this on here. It's a brand new song by Sonatum. I know Sonatum. And it's a group thing, which it throws the vibration up. And I've been listening all day, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this existed. And they said to me, Spirit said to me, because the first day on that cruise, we're going to put everybody in their guides. They're going to meet guides. And they said, what we're planning on doing is we're going to have people in sections in their group. So once they get in contact with the guides, we're going to share who has what guides. And they want to section people off into sections with these certain similar guides. So that'll be really
I think that's really interesting because I work with so many people and their different guides. I do guide readings. So I work with these different guides. Some people, it's funny, James, in one day I'll have the same type of guide that'll come in. On another day, I'll have completely different sets of guides. So interesting. So
and they just said to me, we're going to bring in the celestial elements to it.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. That's great.
I love that.
Rendering, but the way they're planning this out, at least the beginning today when I started with this, I was blown away that they really have it all set up in a certain. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. It'll be good.
Oh, it's going to be so great.
Cool.
It's going to be so great. And I just want to mention to people that if you are, if you have signed up for it and you want to start looking at the excursions, it's a really good thing. And if it's an easy thing to do, but if it seems a little complicated, there's an 800 phone number that you can call and they'll do them for you.
So we did it this weekend.
We did it this weekend. Yeah. And it took us a couple of hours and we're pros at this, but but don't let that stop you.
And Kelly, one thing I want to mention, people have mentioned this before, but I really want to put this point across that right now there are a lot of single roommates with no roommates. But if you want to room with someone, it's a great opportunity because I do believe there are no accidents, and someone you room with.
Oh, there are no accident with this one.
You're never in the rooms that often, so I mean, you must be in the workshops and on port, or at the restaurants.
Right.
Some great restaurants. So I think it's a much less expensive way of going. I think it's $1,000.
Absolutely.
It's worth it, folks, if you really want to go and you're concerned about the costs. And the roommates are great, or same mindset. So
I mean, this could be your, best friend for life. I mean, it's amazing how that works.
I've had so many people from cruises I'm still friends with. I mean, at least 25 people from years and years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah.
You bet. Wow. This is going to be such a great trip, everybody. Wow. Well, you want me to start with the astrology, James?
It's not sold out. Yeah, it's not sold out, Kat. No, we still have some. It's no, yeah, we have single rooms. That's what we have.
Okay.
Yes, astrology, Kelly, please.
Okay, well, let's go to some astrology for this month because March is quite a month. I mean, I've said pretty much that maybe the most challenging month of the year of 2023. So but I want to start, and it's kind of an unstable month, except that one thing that it does do is it brings this incredible healing for the month individually, and it's all about transformation. So sometimes when lives go into a transformation stage, there's some thought behind it, and sometimes it just things occur, and we've all probably had a bit of both when things just occur.
I think it's how you approach it.
Absolutely.
And if we look at life as a constant movement,
yeah,
and the constant transition, life is always moving.
Yeah,
and it's how we observe it and how we take it in, and the connection, the energy we put toward it. It really matters. And if you realize that there's always going to be motion, but how do you relate emotionally to it? To accept that it's really, you have no control because the universe is going to do what the universe is going to do. But I think I said that in my seminar, the stronger you are with who you are as yourself, who you are, that's your anchor. That's your grounding. You don't have to worry about this is who, if you know who you are, you can get through anything. Because you're able to find out at school. Yeah.
Absolutely. So true. So we're going to start off with something positive, which is tomorrow, March 7th. So tomorrow, and I'm using Vedic astrology, there's a full moon tomorrow and it's in Leo. So all my Leos out there, if you have a sun in Leo or a rising in Leo or a moon in Leo, but it will affect everybody. But this full moon in Leo is probably the best full moon of the year. I mean, isn't it interesting, James, how the universe will make some pretty stressful things, and yet there'll be some amazing moments. And I think this full moon tomorrow in Leo is extraordinary. First of all, Leo, what is it? It's passion. It's creation.
Creativity.
This moon is so about manifesting. So this full moon brings creativity. It brings initiative because remember, Leo has courage. So this brings us a lot of courage to take the initiative, to do something new. And by the way, it's a great full moon to put your crystals out because people ask me that all the time. Put your crystals out, wash them in some salt water and put them out under this full moon tomorrow. And it'll be a great time for cleansing. And you want to cleanse it for creativity, for life affirming. Manifestation. Oh, yes, those, and healing. And I'll tell you why. Because this full moon also emphasizes nourishment, regeneration, healing, and of course, transformation. So,
and Kelly, the heart, Leo rules the heart.
Healing
the heart.
Absolutely. And if you are going to do any sort of journaling, because sometimes people, journal during these full moons, here's some of the things that you might want to just think of in reflection if you decide to journal. Ask yourself these three things. What are you authentically proud of yourself for? So
Oh.
what are you authentically proud of yourself for? Because we all have something that we're proud of ourselves for.
Mhm.
The second thing is, how can you express yourself more creatively? You know, we get stuck sometimes. I think tomorrow you're not going to be stuck. Can you express yourself more creatively? What does that look like for you? And the last thing about journaling or thinking about, if you're not journaling, just think about this. What in you that needs healing? What needs healing? Because this month, as you said, as you said with Leo, is the heart. It really is time to look at what you need to heal. And it's really important.
In one of the lyrics of the song today, she
Mhm.
talked about, and I remember it just popped in my head, take your left hand, put it over your heart, and the right, and just comfort yourself with your heart.
Oh, I love that.
I
That's
love that.
great.
I
Love
love,
that.
yeah, that.
Wow. Well,
I'll be there in my, I'm doing a jacuzzi. I have a jacuzzi outside, and I
I
put the heat
know you do. Okay, I think if do
and that's
something
what I
fast.
do with crystals around that, and
Yep.
I do a salt bath. I do the whole thing.
Oh my gosh. And James, this is a great moon. In fact, the moon to make moon water. You know, you take some really good water and you put it out in a jar with a lid on it. And you put it out under
I
this.
have a moon garden
You've got, I know you.
I'll be there tomorrow night.
I know you do that. And get a picture of that beautiful moon garden sign.
Yeah. From Kellee.
It's a good one. Anyway, what's also important about asking yourself what needs healing is because on March 12th, we have another phenomenal aspect, and that is Jupiter conjuncts Chiron. So Jupiter is the guru, it's the largest planet, it's the expander, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So it's going to expand opportunities for healing, for growth, and it helps us to remember to look at and bring meaning into our lives. And it's the best time to heal old wounds.
Well, as you're saying that, what I get downloaded is exactly you're saying that is those people out there who want to work as healers in a business setting, if you will, and want to believe themselves healers. Now is the time to put yourself out there.
Oh, and it's funny because we're going to be talking about time as an illusion, and as we know here, it's a real thing. We only have so much of it. So when I give these astrology, points of view, you might want to take advantage of some of this energy because every energy changes constantly. So anyway, then I want to talk about part of this month, and I think it's really important. And there are just 3 points I want to make with this. So March, currently in March, Mars, we're going to talk about Mars now. Mars is the planet of war, intensity, energy,
Battles.
legal battles. It's intense.
Hard one.
So yeah, well, Saturn and Mars together would be karma for sure. Oh God, be scary karma. But Mars remains out of bounds, okay, until May 5th. So what is out of bounds? It means on the ecliptic, if we look at the astrology, we'll see, oh, this planet is here, and this planet is here, and this planet is here. In this case, Mars, you can't see. It is out of the normal range of planets. So it's out of control. Mars is out of control. You really don't want it to be out of control. You can take some of the other planets, but not Mars. It means things will be unpredictable. Now we're talking about till May 5th.
And sudden. Could be violent.
Absolutely with Mars. I'm telling you, it's a strange one. Also on March 12th, as I said, Jupiter conjuncts Chiron. Okay, that's a big deal on March 12th. But also on March 12th, they're both big. Mars leaves Taurus and enters Gemini. Now that's huge because what is Gemini? Gemini is travel. Gemini is communications, networking, internet, the news. So it's going from Taurus to Gemini. This is Mars again, and Mars remains out of bounds. So with this happening, oh my gosh, it could trigger a lot of things like riots, revolts, all kinds of things.
Air traffic.
Air trouble, and travel will be difficult. Travel will be difficult. So that's begins on March 12th, and that goes all the way to May 10th. But then here's the last thing I want to talk about, and this is really important.
Kellee.
I know I'm such a number, but I'll tell you, this new moon or this full moon, it's very good. But on March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th, 14 to 17 March, it's in a very intense time, and that's because Mars, again, this is where I'm talking about all this Mars stuff. Mars actually is going to be squaring the Sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Jupiter. And that will be a very challenged time to be traveling. And I do know that it is, a lot of spring breaks are that time,
Kellee,
so
I'm sorry,
it's
but when is that? What month?
March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Okay.
And that's Mars squaring everything. So, I mean, pretty much everything: Sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Jupiter. So it's going to be, travel will be impacted. So, I can't even say put your patience on, just be mindful that that's a very intense time in the world. Okay. So, as I said, March is a kind of a March Madness. Is that what they call it?
I'm gonna go have a drink.
I know. Anyway, so there you go. So time does exist on this planet.
Well, yeah, everything's energy, so it's all energy. So it's concepts, right? So a conceptual. I think as humans we need to have these concepts, or these belief systems, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think time is, Kellee?
I think time's an illusion. Except on this planet, it's necessary. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, James, and I've shared this with you. As a lot of people know, I had a traumatic brain injury. And as a result of that, I was literally out of my body. I would not have called it a near-death experience, but it's the closest I can say without it being a near-death experience. And here's what I saw in that. For a long periods of time, I saw this. Time is an illusion. You could be anywhere. You could be in several past lives back. You could be right where we are. I could be in the future. I saw it. I saw that only Earth has time, that time really doesn't exist anywhere else.
Sure.
And I saw that's the first spiritual law that I saw, basically, that it doesn't exist.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what Barbara said too. It's a construct of this three-dimensional world.
Yes.
When I had my near-death experience, the first thing I experienced was I'm outside of time.
So that was the near-death experience that you had that. So it was my first experience too, right?
I was outside of time.
Yeah.
Time doesn't exist outside of this dimension. Right. But we get so caught up in the human aspects and because we're in the human vibration here, but it doesn't exist. So when spirit leaves, they're not in, the human part of I think the frustration gets to the spirit world because the human's so caught up with the time of things, but they're always present and it's hard also for people to understand the spirit people can be in several places at once. Yes. That the way of travel does not exist in that level. The three-dimensional way that we have doesn't exist in those dimensions. They can be in several different places at once, or they can be in past lives, future lives, present lives, all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Like right now, we are experiencing past, present, future all at once, but we're just aware of this dimension.
Right.
So it's all energy. Yeah.
James, my thought is this. You know how people are seeing 11-11, 11-11 all the time?
Yes.
I think that was programmed into us to wake up because on Earth there is time. You only have so much time. And here's the game. You don't know how much time that is.
It's true.
And I think that has a lot to do with this 11-11 that people keep. Every time they start to wake up, they'll say, "Oh, Kellee, I just saw 11-11." Yeah, I mean, that starts to wake people up.
11-11 is the meaning of waking up, of something new beginnings.
Yes. Yes.
It's very, very true. A lot of people want to talk about quantum physics, and I do believe in quantum physics. I don't know a lot about quantum physics, but I did do some research because
I'm thrilled.
It's a concept which a lot of people have a hard time with. And I'm not a scientist in physics, but it's different than physics. So I looked this up, and I'm going to read it to everybody because quantum physics and the law of attraction and consciousness. Okay, so I'm just going to read a little bit of what this. It makes a little bit of sense. I think the best way to hear this is to close your eyes, because that way you'll really hear it. So I'm just going to read this to you as best as I can. All right. I'm going to put some light on so it could help. Hold on.
I'm just sitting here closing my eyes.
Close your eyes. There you go. Okay. So keep your eyes closed and just listen because it's very interesting, I found. Take, for instance, quantum physics. It is a branch of science that describes how the smallest particles like protons, electrons exist and interact with each other. The challenge is that quantum physics is bizarre as it doesn't follow the classical understanding of regular physics. Okay. In classic physics, you can predict where a wave of light or an object will be in the future, given its current position. But with quantum physics, you can't make 100% correct predictions of where the particles will pop in and move. And it's out of existence all the time. And energy is a property of a particle. understanding in quantum physics is difficult. See, because the energy comes and goes, and the thing that really is really works with energy, our thought forms. Our thought creates energy. It's our thoughts will move that energy, if you will. Also consider that the light can exist both as a wave and a particle based on how it is observed. Okay. And it quickly becomes clear that we have yet to understand how everything works on the tiniest of scales, how the two are connected. The consciousness of the human experience is a microcosm of the larger universal consciousness. As such, our soul, our role and place in reality becomes over more significant. When it comes to quantum physics, it is often said you can't have a universe or a reality without the mind entering into it. It is it's just true because you have to think of something, you have the mind to relate to it, to think of it. It is generally thought that the mind actually shapes the very thing that is being perceived, okay, which we create with our mind. So we created this whole world, this whole universe with our minds. See, in simpler words, you shape your reality. It is also speculated by some scientists that consciousness itself could be a byproduct of quantum phenomena. In that way, your brain could actually be a quantum computer. This is a connection between quantum physics and consciousness. One influences the other.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
Wow. Huh. That's a lot to ponder there.
Well,
Ponder this.
It kind of is. It kind of is, but it makes more sense to me. And I don't know if I'm just older or the work that we do that it all exists at once. It's all at the same time. There is no past or future. It's all the same. It's all now.
I think it's people here are limited because it's hard, to imagine anything.
Well, because we're measured by time.
Time and the way we visually see things, and people kind of get so stuck in their way. But it's interesting because
they get stuck in time too.
Absolutely. I mean, Albert Einstein says he's talked about the special theory of relativity.
I have all his books.
Okay, you do. Okay, phenomenal.
Amazing, yeah.
In other words, the rate at time passes depends on your frame of reference, which I always found so true.
It's very true.
Yeah,
that's true of everything.
Everything.
And it is your mindset about everything. So no matter what's going on during your day, it's where's your mind? What's your mindset? Where do you what is if something annoys you? Why is it annoying you? What is it bringing up? What is not resolved? What's not centered? So it's a mindset. It's with everything. And it's funny. I walked into Pearl's dog place today, and on the wall, and it said, "Everything is a mindset."
Oh, it's very true.
It's very, very true.
Everything is a mindset.
Everything in your life is a mindset. It's where you place your mind. And you can be a victim or you can be empowered. Like full moon you're talking about. I mean, I've had this creative stuff coming up. Like, I'm always early before the moon, like 2 or 3 days. And I've had all this TV things and all this stuff coming up, like all this creativity stuff pouring in.
You're always ahead of the game with that.
It's so strange. But it's an interesting thing because it also is a time, I think, all of us, again, the more we know ourselves, right? The more we know ourselves, honor who we are, not someone else's.
Yes.
Who we are. Don't measure yourself to anybody else because you'll never win that way with your who you are. But the more you know yourself, and the more you feel that sense of, now it's my time. That this is the right time to do something, or I should hold back, or and take the plunge. Take the plunge.
But only you would know. You're absolutely right with what you're saying because it's important. Earth. The construct here has to do with time. And my thought is on the other side, there are teachers that teach you before you incarnate, like to help you remember you're going to be on here. And here's the thing. There's this thing as time. Have you ever met people, James, that for whatever, they're never on time ever? Like ever?
Oh yes, I have.
I mean, never on time.
What do you think of that from a therapist point of view?
Well, I used to think, I have two thoughts on it. From a therapist point of view, a lot of therapists will think that's narcissistic.
Okay.
From a spiritual standpoint, I sometimes sit back and go, okay, that person is an artist on that side. They don't know from time, or they're this on that side. They don't know from it.
Didn't think of that. Wow.
Yeah, I think about that a lot.
And they just want you to pay attention to them.
But I said narcissist. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that too. But I've also seen it where artists get so involved in their work that they lose. There is no such thing as time for
Well,
them.
you know about the fairy whole thing. I mean, I did dinner with a great friend of mine, and she's such a fairy goddess girl. Doesn't belong on this earth, but and she's like a gypsy, and she's fabulous. And together we just laugh because I understand that energy, and I love that leprechaun fairy energy, that diva kingdom. I love that. To me, that's in some ways more real than the physical. You know, I get that. Not a problem, but we have to also be mindful that we are here at this school, and we have to be grounded. We got to be here. We can have those elements with us, but we also have to be in this world and of this
Right.
world.
Well, we have to be in this world, absolutely. And the thing that's important to remember is there is only so much time that everybody has. And one thing I wanted to ask you is to talk about this as a psychic, the way I've always viewed things, the way it appears to me. And I'm sure, I don't know how it appears to you, but for me, it'll appear like, as you just said about when you're talking about quantum physics, I could see 12 moves and my energy would feel towards whatever like honestly 12 moves. I could go here, I can go here, I can go here. And then what would happen is things all of a sudden would change. It's what you just said when you were talking about quantum physics, like things would move and change.
Yeah, I've had some experiences, Kelly, some really interesting experiences when I used to do private readings a lot. Not much anymore, but when I used to do them, quite interesting because as I was tuning in, I would tune on an intuitive level first before I get to the mediumship. That's how I start tuning in. And I would immediately pick up issues, situations from the soul, right? Something
Right.
reading. And I realized that soul's in pain from several lifetimes before. And I'd see them being stretched on the table. I'd see them being, whatever would happen. I'd see future stuff in a world which didn't, hard to understand. I'd see that. And I'd know this current lifetime, they're working on certain things from past and present and future.
And that's because you're talking about it from time as an illusion. So when the soul comes in, the soul doesn't say, well, today is Tuesday at this day. The soul is enormous.
It's true. There's no, and they're outside of time. Time's only relative.
Yes.
So like we talk about doing demonstrations or one-on-one readings, demonstration. The spirit world's already in their world. That's already occurred. So we say to the humans, they know who they're doing the readings for. It's already happened in their world. So you don't have to do anything to get a read. They've already controlled it. It's so interesting because, again, one of the things I find that when people are getting ready to pass over, and we as humans, and someone spoke about this yesterday in my workshop about being in a coma and about, what is the time? And I say, well, they're already out of the body. They go in and out of that body. And you have to realize, and I can only say is also from my personal experience, my father passed. He wouldn't believe in any of this, any work I did. And I helped him out of that body. I said, it's time, you can go now. He goes, no, I don't want you kids worrying about the house, or we won't do that. And he left. And within, I would say, earthly time, 10 minutes, he was right back and telling me he had a sister he didn't know he had. He was wearing a brown suit. He goes, you're real. This is real. I couldn't believe this is real. You got it right. You got it right. And and had 3 days of notes. And it was just a sense of, and I've had this other spirit friends that have been passing in the spirit world, mediums, so forth, that have the human self. And then this has Cindy Williams, this happened to the other day. When she came back, she said, I spent my whole life looking around for things and fulfilling myself. And she goes, I'm self-fulfilled here. That's one of the first things I experienced. He said, I'm James, I'm self-fulfilled. And many people spend their whole lives in time trying to be self-fulfilled, when really, you are self-fulfilled. But you have to have that sense of yourself and not look at it from the outside in, but from the inside out. It's interesting. Time, it's an illusion. Something else I want to mention that's very important. If you're in a relationship or a situation in life where you can't forgive someone, or something happens, you're holding on to stuff, it can impact your past and can impact your future. Not only yours. Let's say you can't forgive someone. It can affect generations of your family line in the future.
Oh, it will actually. Yeah. Generational trauma. It'll just carry down until somebody comes in to break the spell. Basically,
you have a responsibility of doing that. If you could, forgiveness, they take the higher road, because you don't want to pass for the side and say, oh my God, I had that great opportunity to break that, and I created more of a
right. So true. Wow. It's fascinating. So Kim Ann Snodgrass says, so if you say time is an illusion, where do you stand on wormholes? Wouldn't this be a way to be in more than one place at a time? I don't know from wormholes, although I do know this. Tomorrow's moon is a worm moon.
Well, again, we have to look at this from the human perspective, but we're souls, so it's hard for all us here because we have more an awareness that we're
Right.
souls, right? So I don't think there's only one way of looking at it. I think there's we again, I knew my future, but I didn't know I'd be doing mediumship, but I knew I'd be very well known. I knew I'd be in front of audiences applauding me. I knew I'd be writing, be known for that. And now where was that? That was when I was a child. I knew what California was when I was 3 years old. I never knew what California, but I knew I'd be living there someday. So it's interesting because it's all the future is now. It's kind of all one. And I think if we just remember that and don't get so caught up in it. The other thing I want to mention, because I have to, when we try so hard to control time and try to control things so much, we're actually doing a disservice because we're blocking the energy. Everything is energy. And when you put a wall in, you're blocking the natural essence, the natural movement of energy. You're blocking that to happen. There's a natural law. It's a movement, and you can't control it. So don't do that because it's resist. You resist what you persist. You resist, right?
Yeah.
That thing. You got to just let surrender, and it'll happen in universal time. I believe it happens in divine time. I really believe we have.
Oh, I've been with you to know that that is true. And actually, what happens is things are actually better. You might think we might think, oh, we're going over here. Oh, we're not. Okay, we're going over here. And one thing you taught me a long time ago, just relax and go with it, whatever it is.
Just go, just enjoy the moment. I mean, and again, like I said earlier, as I get older, maybe, and it's just the mindset and enjoy every moment. Just like I said this yesterday, and I said it today in my show. We have days, right? We're measured by days here, months and years. But to me, I think a soul is measured by moments. And I think a life is measured by moments. And when we pass over to this realm, into those other realms, which operate at different frequencies and different properties, folks, right? So this is one property of the three-dimensional world, which works with a clock, but those don't. And all those realms are very different. And I just think you have to be conscious of living in that moment because each person you meet at that moment, there's a specialness, there's a connection there. And there's a rippling effect that takes place with how you behave in that moment with people. Whether
Absolutely.
are nasty and mean, you don't have to be that way. Change energy, make it. I mean, I do that practice at the dog park every day. And people say, well, that's my bull. I said, oh, it's everyone's bull. It's a community. We're all here together. And they look at me like, oh, good. And they get it. But it's, you're placed at a certain, I believe we're all placed at a certain time, a certain space. There's no accident for that. We're there we might not know the reason is at that moment and why someone died at that moment or why died that way or left us but there's a reason behind it all. That's the frustrating thing in this time world. We can't see the future of it, you see.
No, I know you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a unique school, isn't it?
But it's a great school in that respect because no other place like it, by the way. And it's a hard school. It's an advanced school, but use it for the best way and realize that we're students. We're all students learning. Students are learning. You get things wrong. That's part of learning.
You know what I saw also, James, other than time was an illusion? I saw that first. The second thing I saw, which I think is important and relevant, is I saw that there was no such thing as mental illness.
As mental illness.
None. There's no such thing as it. What happened is I would look at everybody's life through a huge lens from up above that was all about trauma. So they would come here and there'd be all kinds of trauma. And the trauma would shape their destiny into whatever, here we name it to tame it. But in actuality, there is no such thing as mental illness.
Not only their trauma, but maybe their family's trauma.
Oh, absolutely. Generational, for sure. And that's why it's so important to be in the moment, making really good, clear choices. Present in the moment, know thyself. I mean, these are basic and strong and truths.
Yeah. And what's your mindset? Where do you place your mind?
Right. Exactly. Oh my God. And it's not like you and I got here just recently with this. We've practiced this. We've practiced it over and over and over.
And my whole life. And it was really interesting because as a kid, and I just say this because I am who I am. I was very lucky because I was one of 4 kids, and I was really an alcoholic mother. I really raised myself by sister, but I always was pretty strong in a sense of knowing who I was.
Very lucky.
very lucky because I was
Mhm.
bullied when I was a kid. I was a tiny little boy, and I was bullied. I think it was because and a healer friend told me this, that you came back at a short stature this lifetime, because you have so much power and energy that you would intimidate people if you would.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You had to come in a smaller package.
Yeah, and
That's very true.
bullied me. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what? It felt so forward. It's like, why are they like wasting their time with that? I didn't understand
I know.
that. It's interesting. It's a very, very interesting thing. But I think if you have a good sense of who you are, know who you are, a good bit. I think one of the things I've learned also, from when that near death experience and several thousands of readings I've done, that we need to be less critical of self. We really need to stop judging ourselves so harshly, because we don't want that to continue on. We want to change up. We want to honor ourselves. You don't want to wait till you pass over and then say, wow, I should behave better to myself. Treat yourself to a good time. Tomorrow night is a full moon in Leo. Have a party, folks.
Well, and that's a great day for a party, actually.
Leo's a party, and it's a
Yeah.
love fest. So
It's a
love
great
yourself.
time. Absolutely. James, here's a good question. This is from Dawn Wonder, and she says, are you traveling to any events this year? Kellee, are you? So you start, and then we could talk
I
about
will
the
be traveling.
mediumship later.
Yeah, well, I'll be traveling to Florida. So I'm being in Florida in April. I'll be in Florida on both coasts. I'll be in the 15th of April. Oh, there you are. Well, thank you very much, Renee. The 15th of April, I'll be in Fort Lauderdale at the Parker Playhouse. And that I've done that before, and a great time, great people, a lot of fun. It's going to be a real good event, that one. And I'm going to do it a little different than I do, because I'm only doing a limited amount this year. And then I go to St. Pete's the week after that, and I'm working with Michael Beck with a bunch of spiritual teachers. There's a show called The Awakening, and it's at a church in St. Petersburg, and that'll be Wednesday. I'll be opening up that conference. And then April, and then I will be going to touring in Scotland with Gordon Smith in October. Well, then we'll go to Kellee in August to the cruise.
We're going, and then also in September, we're doing the mediumship and psychic convention in Los Angeles. Yeah, that's a huge one.
Big one. And then, yeah, and then we're going to be doing October. They'll be in Scotland and England and Ireland and Wales. And
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So there you go. And time will not be an illusion in that. You have to be here and there and there.
It's a very interesting thing with time on airplanes. I've done my share of airplanes, and that was the worst.
Oh, I know.
Flying. I don't like flying. But that's where I really had to learn about time and surrender. And I did. What's the worst that could happen? I'll pass the other side.
Yeah. That's so true, James. So
you got to release control when you fly. You really do.
Oh.
When you travel, especially nowadays when you travel, you got to release it.
You have to. Oh, so Renee Hansel had asked a question. Renee, can you put that up again for us? We just couldn't get to it fast enough. If you can find it, maybe you don't have it now.
Really love.
It was a good one. Don Recker says quantum physics really is a mind blower, and it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Renee Hansel. Doing astronomy, it's fascinating that the past and present are one. We're looking at light from millions of light years away. The object might not even be there anymore, and yet we are very in the present looking at it. Isn't that fascinating?
That's the perception of that light wave.
Yeah. Wow.
It's in a different dimension.
Wow. Okay, Carolyn East. Because we create our reality, then our outlook shapes what we attract to us. Yes. Then would that explain why some people are eternal optimists or pessimists? Glass half full, glass half empty. We create what happens to us.
Yeah, I think there are more factors involved than just simple as that. I think there are many factors that are involved, but I think that exactly right. We're magnetic beings, and you draw to you what you create with your thoughts. We are God. Every single one of us creates, and God is creation, and we are that light, that God light, if you will, and that is creating. So you create all the time, whether it's conscious or unconscious. You're creating positivity or negativity, and that's what you want. That's why you bring it in. You want to experience it. So even if you're not consciously, you're unconscious. Put yourself in a good space, in a good mindset, or surround yourself in a good space and let you enjoy. Because if you're not consciously thinking, you'll at least be in a positive vibration around you. Right. Like attracts like. It really is. Right. What you resist persists. Remember that. What you resist persists.
And what somebody thinks of you is none of your business.
People think of you as none of your business, and it's so damn true, because they're not you. They don't know you. They're projecting their stuff onto you, which doesn't. Again, that like kid, the bully, it didn't make sense to me because I wasn't what they thought I was.
But your ego was strong enough and understood, and
I knew myself.
old soul, you knew yourself.
So
Yeah,
I knew myself. And
so true.
I find
Lisa,
it very interesting in this school that so many people here are unconscious. I mean, people sleepwalking. 90% of people are.
was one of my first thoughts as a baby. Like, oh my God, these people.
Don't get it.
And they're supposed to take care of me. I remember actually thinking that. I can't even tell you how many times.
My parents were like, really?
I was like, oh my God, this is bad.
Yeah. And I bet a lot of people hear the same experience like that.
Oh my God. Lisa Bloom says, do our departed ones pay attention to our time? Do they recall the day they died or were born?
That's a really good question, because I think, Kellee, you might have a different answer on this one. But it's an interesting one for me because they're outside of time. So it's like asking you to go back to your high school, your second year in high school in your homeroom seat. What happened? And so you're asking someone to go back to a very restricted, rigid kind of time, if you will, when they're in this expansive universes. So we're pulling them back as a very tiny little particle of what they experience when they're in this physical life. Not easy to do. They got to shrink themselves back, right?
They actually do. Yes.
They have to shrink themselves back into.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Shrinking themselves back to a concept of time, which they don't have that concept anymore. So they look at us and they measure time. Here we go. They measure time by our experiences. They see us going through the experiences of birthdays and ours, and that's how they know time has passed. Or holidays. They know it's a holiday because they see us getting ready for it. They don't have calendars there, but they
They don't have the old-fashioned schedules.
No, they don't.
They don't have a cell phone.
But funny enough, on the other side, there are realms over there. There are places over there that people who like to live in the 1800s can live in the 1800s.
Very true. Very true.
Those errors exist. Even old costumes, Roman costumes, Greek, they have those worlds there. And that's why the cruise is going to be so interesting, because I'm all the experience people want to have these realms. So you can go to that time period, if you will, Earth time, if you will, that you love, you have an affinity for, you can experience that again on the other side. There's so many different possibilities over there. It's just beyond
endless, actually.
Beyond our belief here. It goes beyond us. They've talked often about colors over there, and they've said to me, oh, James. And it's funny, Mavis, oh, James, you wouldn't understand it. But she says the value of color is so different there, and because it has a meaning behind it. And they often talk, and I mentioned this before in the show, and I love it, that someone might walk by your house that you've created based upon your thoughts. And remember that everything aesthetically is beautiful. It'll fit perfectly into the land that's meant for that house, right? And everything seems to get together just beautifully in harmony. You might have a friend who's walked by your house, say hello to you, and they have some flowers, and they throw them up to you to say hello, and those flowers will put themselves into your porch and stay there and stay alive. And they say when they go to symphonies or concerts, part of the experience they love is watch the show, the colors, because all the notes have colors and vibration, and they make these beautiful designs. It's almost like Disney, when Disney came out with Fantasia way before its time, but that's pretty much like what it's like when you see they describe these elements of textures and these structures that you'll see from the music. And it's from not only the notes, but it's the passion behind the creation.
Yeah.
Listen,
I think we should go tomorrow.
We got work to do, dear.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Julie Musterman. I've been feeling this beautiful and powerful full moon for the past few nights, and it's awesome. Also, tonight and tomorrow is Purim, which Purim is one of the greatest festival. Time to make hamantaschen. Actually, my grandkids are coming, and I'm going to make that with them.
It's a Jewish holiday, isn't it?
It's a Jewish holiday. It's like when the bad guy is taken over, and we make these cookies called hamantaschen, and they're filled with poppy seeds, and it's so fun. And you dress up.
Ancestors would be like, James, what are you doing?
No, it's so much fun. It's the perfect time for a party, and I forgot about that it was Purim. So I'm thrilled. Thank you, Julie. And somebody asked me how to make moon water. It's really simple. Take really good water, put it in some sort of container, and cover it, and really talk to this water. What do you want out of this water? With this moon, healing, creativity, manifestation. And then you place it in a place outside, the full moon is there, and you leave it till the next night. You leave it for 24 hours. And then what happens is...
What I just heard?
What?
I heard drink it for 7 days.
Drink it for 7 days would be excellent. Excellent.
I just heard this lady say to me, drink it, and you have to drink it for 7 days. And as you digest it, you'll remember that what it's for, the properties of that water, and it'll remind you, and your body can do that.
Brilliant.
It'll go for it.
Thank her.
Thank you. I think it's that same guy that had that one time that knew.
I know that
I think it's her.
I think the one that watches our show. This is fantastic because her information is spot on.
She looks
I've
like
got chills actually. I think this is hysterical. Perfect.
What her name? I don't remember her name.
Oh my God, 7 days. So drink a little bit every day.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
7 days.
Well, because what it does is it infuses you with this amazing, the thoughts, the affirmations, the healing. Yeah, it's great.
And honor the moon. Honor Luna. Honor Luna.
Yeah.
You know, Luna can't make her own light. Luna gets light from the sun. So Luna reflects that sun light. And Leo rules the sun, right? So
that's what makes this so important.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is a really, really important one. Tomorrow. So, okay. Nadine Van Voren says, I feel that sometimes with months, time is an illusion. If a month had 60 days, the year would be longer. Would we feel that we are aging more slowly? Good question.
Good question.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even think of aging, except that when I had to see an elder specialist.
My father used to say something that was very fascinating. And I know from getting older, definitely things have changed. My father said, it's so funny. As you get older, it seems time passes faster, but your body slows down. Which is true.
I like that. I like that.
As you get older, too, from my experience, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter anymore. You just
doesn't.
No.
Joanne May, can our crystals and water still be infused under the full moon if it's cloudy? Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely. The moon doesn't care about clouds. Good question, though. No problem.
We are water, Katie says. Yes, we are water. That's right. Luna's
absolutely. Okay, Joe Matt, could you both please cover some time about what to do with clothes after a loved one has passed? Because
Joe.
Okay, so do you want to take this one?
No, you take this one.
All right. Okay, because I deal with this probably every single day with somebody, and I always say keep a couple of pieces that you love, but because I mean I know I have some of my mom's stuff, I still love to smell them. But other than that, I mean it's a hard thing to do, but it's they want you to give it to somebody. They want you to to do something with it. So James, what is your take?
Last night I had a dinner with a good friend of mine and my gypsy girlfriend, and I talked about it today on my show. She went to hear a band, and there was a guy next to her, and he was talking about his 45 guitars that he has in his house. And she said, well, what are you doing with 45 guitars? He goes, well, they're in their boxes, And she goes, and they used to be owned by people. And she said, what are you doing? She goes, you're breaking my heart right now. They need to be expressed. That music needs to come out of there. And I agree with her. And from my experience, loved ones who passed over about their things, their belongings. I've had many, many readings that say, what are you doing holding on to my dishes in a cupboard or in a box? They're not being used. That's very disrespectful. Please give them something that can help them. I would feel so much better over here if I knew that my things that I created, that I came to my life, that I bought or came with, is being used to help somebody else. That would really make me feel better. So I love that. I think that, that's what I do. I tried to do that with my own clothes and books and things. Right. But I think that, like Kelly said, if you keep one item, and our friend Peggy Fitzsimmons talks about that too, and clutter, one item, because everything's your heart, but one item I think is nice. And there might be a time when I get rid of everything from someone else. I've done that one too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had clients that keep things for 5 years, 10 years, and that seems a bit long.
It back. A lot of people want to know. You don't have that. You're not Frankenstein. You can't create what they're going to do. You're not God in that respect. You don't hold them back.
No.
But I think it's respectful to let them, hold an object, but let someone else enjoy what they have.
Absolutely, James. Absolutely. Cindy Sue. I love that name.
I know. I love that name.
I love Cindy Sue. I'm going to get a dog one. Next time I get a dog, I'm going to call her Cindy Sue.
I'm in the dog park soon with that name.
Oh my gosh, have fun. I was going to skip tonight's episode, but then I have this tree in my living room that has many doodads on it. One of the hearts on my tree started swinging like crazy. Now I'm glad I tuned in. I can't wait to make moon water.
Now, this is a very interesting insight, that is, because it brings me to a question, or not a question, a conversation we had last night at dinner with my friends, and one of them was, and Kelly, you might remember this. There was a lady, and Nancy, I'm not sure if she's watching it. Nancy lived in upstate New York, and she was
Oh, I remember this very well.
very well. And she did an event they did in Peekskill, New York, and it was backstage. And I said to her, and she was always obsessed with grief. She lost her brother at age 10, death.
Yeah.
Scorpio lady, I think double Scorpio actually. And she lost her mom, brother. I mean, the first conversation was on our way to a restaurant. She would tell me how many people were dead.
And that was, I think, first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was in the limousine on the way to the restaurant.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm getting from my Italian food.
Yeah, I remember.
So, but she was always obsessed. That's fine. She was obsessed, but she had a death tree in her bed, right?
That's true.
And the death tree, and she put people's names on the death tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's her thing. Fine, obsessed. I said, and I had conversations. I said, Nancy, you had readings. Nancy, they're okay. What way? I don't know. And maybe it's because she's aware of that. I don't know. But during the show in Peekskill, I said to her, listen, I have these talking to heaven cards. They're really good cards for messages from loved ones. They're out in the lobby. Just grab one, a gift from me, and bring it in, and we'll show you how to use it. She goes, okay. She gets this pack of talking to heaven cards, still wrapped, opens it up, and she's going through them and shuffle them up, and then put 4 cards out. And one was, first card was, I'm not dead. There's no death. Next card, there is no death. Next card, there is no death. Next, 4 cards, misprint. There is no death.
That's amazing.
Now,
Misprint.
Misprint. It
Okay.
had
Unbelievable.
the card decks that were there. She goes, that one particular deck that had both misprint of that message, by the way, and that was her thing. Think of the intelligence behind that made that happen. Now, did you take the opportunity and look at that?
Yeah.
Or did you not? That's not. That's
well, we went to the house and saw this said tree.
It was amazing.
Well, I think you and I were just floored.
We just looked at each other and we're like, wow.
I'll be darned.
And then was the Wizard of Oz. Then the Wizard of Oz was on the wall.
Oh, I recall. I never saw anything ever like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
So we've had some funny moments.
We've had some moments, Kelly.
Okay, Joe Sunderlip says,
Kelly, let me interrupt. We're also going to be going on podcasts, everybody. So we're going to be and we're going to be in Apple Music, and
Spotify, Apple. I forget what all of them.
So we'll be there. So tell everybody, because we're going
if you can't catch the show live, you'll be able to catch it or whatever.
See, that's that Leo Moon thing. I mean,
I know
it's coming in, and these things are being thrown at us, given to us. It's just
right.
It's a good time for it.
I know. Oh my gosh. Let's see. What else do we have here?
Katie Tucker, does that mean there's no life? All there is life. That means there's no death. So life, quantum, all those particles, atoms, protons, so forth, move. There's movement. So I would say there's always movement. That's the best way. And death, we think of death. Someone said, my friend Marianne said this night, she goes, maybe they should do a show life, death after life. I'm like, well, there is no death. So you can't say death because there is no. And death to people mean ending, stopping. There's always movement. You cannot stop moving in quantum physics. In physics.
Okay, here's a good question. Frank Sullivan says, I know that both of you were friends with Mavis. Have either of you heard from her?
Yes, indeed, I have. Thank you very much.
I felt her around me doing readings, and then inevitably, the person I'm doing a reading for says,
the weirdest thing that happened.
Oh my God. I go, why? I just feel Mavis Patilla around you. She said, I studied with Mavis. Oh, okay. So I'm like, Mavis is watching me work.
No.
Okay, what?
So Kelly did a reading for Jean Else, who's Mavis' partner. She said, would you do a reading?
I did. Yeah.
And she did. And it was a good reading. Kelly said, I talked to Kelly afterwards. It went really well. It didn't tell me any of the details, but she said it went really well. She was happy. I said, good. And then I promised her I'd do a reading for her about 2 weeks later. I swear to you, 3 or 4 of the things I said, well, she's talking about you in Florida. She goes, Kelly White mentioned that. I said, really? Okay. Well, she's also mentioning, Kelly mentioned that. I said, I promise you, Kelly, I did not.
We did not speak about it. We don't have time for any of that. I just said to you, I did a reading for Jean. Yeah.
And I think Mavis got through on those levels. So she should get through that same information, you see. Yeah. Like that's really what part of it was. Because so interesting being through a medium that has passed over. And one thing she did say, which I was blown away by, that was a great piece of evidence, was that she said she wears you wear her wedding ring, yes. And she turns it every afternoon. She goes, it does, it turns.
Oh
Great.
my gosh. And also you heard from Mavis about
Right away. Yeah,
right.
right away. I heard from Mavis. It was so funny. Right after she passed, the day after, I guess, because she, her and I had these funny, wonderful conversations, and she said,
Oh, James, it's beyond the beyond. It's beyond the beyond.
I could hear her say that.
Beyond the beyond.
and then
My
and it was funny. I'd shave, and she'd come to me, and I'd call Jean up 3 or 4 times. She just said this. She went, and the first thing she said, "I'm going to the Poets Society, like a poets building, and for these poems."
I'm
And
sure she and Gordon were going.
yeah, and Jean said, "Oh, she loved the poetry." She goes, "Well, she's going to meet Yeats, and she's going to meet some. She's looking very forward to it, and she can have anything she wants over there." But she was all about the poetry. I remember that, and she was also talking about the colors, the scenery. She kept on saying, "You just can't describe it to you. You can't understand it. You wouldn't understand," which is true. It's trying to describe a 7th dimension in a 3-dimensional world. It's impossible. The only thing is love. Love is the only energy that's the same. That love, but on that level, love manifests. A great story, which I'm going to repeat, which is a great story. I heard from Leslie Flint, actually, wonderful direct voice, indirect voice medium. The voice box would appear outside. There was I'm not crying when I talk about this. There was a couple. I guess the man died early in life, and the wife was on Earth. And for many, many, many years, they were separated. There was such a strong love. So 20 years, 30 years, 40 years passed. She finally passed over, and she came back, and they asked her, they said, "What was it like when you first met your partner?" And she described it. She says, "Well, you have to remember, I have to tell you things that you would understand there on the earth, but I can tell you it was a beautiful house he created for me. He knew I'd love that house, so created that house with his thoughts. And the garden, he knew I loved gardens, and he brought me out to the back of this house, and there was a garden with a flowery bush, and he said, 'This is for you, and this shows you my love over all these years.'" And she said, this flowery bush started growing, these beautiful flowers, one more beautiful than the other, so we're growing larger and larger and expanded like Jack of the Beanstalk, growing higher and higher and higher. And there's this towering of these flowers, and those are all the years and the thoughts that he had that he missed her. It was materialized for to see his love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Oof. I love that. I think we have time for another one. Sue Wells says, "Do they have family gatherings on the other side?" Oh, do they ever?
Do they ever? You bet.
Oh, you bet.
A lot of times I can't get through to someone because that's their family reunion. I'm trying to fix something. A lot
I
of
had the
times
same situation. That's so funny.
And a lot of times I've had like people from, let's say, the guy who's with his father, and the wife wants to know how he's doing. He said, "Well, he's working on his relationship with his father because they didn't have one down here real well." Because, "Oh, that's right. Well, they're working on it now over there." Because you see things very differently over there, and you see the strength, the things that you think so important here on this earth, and over there you realize they were very insignificant. Right. So many things are insignificant. The only thing that's significant is love, the power.
Okay. This is a good one. Kathy Hodes Strout. "So does everyone who passes over gain the wisdom of the spirit realm?" Okay, I got to answer that. Okay, this is so funny. My mother said to me, "So when I pass, is everybody they have all this wisdom?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "No, the way you live now is exactly how you are." Exactly. I mean, you getting wisdom by really gaining wisdom here.
It's your soul wisdom, but use it.
Yeah, use it.
You have to use it. You got to utilize it.
Yeah.
Live it. You got to live it.
This is an interesting comment. Kim Ann says, "My friend makes moon water. She saves it in her freezer and uses it to make soup." Oh, soap.
Or soup.
My mind would be soup. That's wild.
Oh, here's what Gail Jean said. "My parents play cards over there and laugh." It happens very often. I saw my father fishing with my nephew. Yes, that happens. And did you believe they do that? They create the scenarios. I remember I was on Larry King once, and someone's father was playing golf over there. And I go, "Yeah, they have golf over there too, really?" I said, "Larry, they can have any atmosphere they desire. And if they had that down here, they can have it over there as well. You have everything you want over there, even food. If you have a desire to eat pizza."
Yes.
I've had pizza for 2 days. I don't know why. And I was at a biker bar yesterday. Did I say that story?
No, I missed that.
I ended up at a biker bar yesterday. and I'm buying a Harley, but that's a whole other story. And all the bikers, these leather daddies and girls, love Pearl. They knelt down and
Oh no, don't do that.
they want to buy me a Harley and have a Pearl in the back. It just happened because I wanted a piece of pizza.
Oh
But
my God.
yeah, I just did this one. It's fun.
You've had quite a time.
Live in joy. And
Right.
it's unexpected. That's the best part. I don't know where that was going, but anyway, it's been a fun weekend. Yeah. I'm going to be a Harley person now. I was invited to a bar in the middle of nowhere, the Insider Bar, it's called. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. Well, listen, everybody, it's been wonderful. We will see you next week. Join me Thursday. We're Ask Me Anything. And James, you'll be doing your intensive with
Soul Care. Thursday.
Soul Care Intensive. So please join us and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. All right. Love you. Say bye, everybody.
Thank you, Kellee.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.